Sundae Funday is upon us. You can now claim your SundaeSwap ISO rewards. And at the end of this month, the Maladex ISPO is coming to a close as well. So with both SundaeSwap and Maladex wrapping up their ISOs, let's not forget that where you delegate next matters. Let's take a look together in the weekly report. Welcome back to Woodland Pools. Today it's time for the weekly report. Let's jump in. So this week, obviously the thing that everyone's most excited about is that SundaeSwap ISO rewards have been claimable since March 1st using DripDropz. If you don't want to use DripDropz or you don't want to pay the DripDropz fee, they're going to make out a service that you can use to claim your rewards in the coming months. And also keep in mind that all of this is for the initial ISO itself, not for the reverse ISO that just wrapped up. The reverse ISO is not going to be through DripDropz. That will also be through the faucet that they're building. So for regular ISO rewards, you can do it today on DripDropz. For the reverse ISO, or if you don't want to use DripDropz, you can come to this faucet later on. If you want to get your regular ISO rewards today, DripDropz is the way to go. So on what they were calling Sundae Funday, on March 1st, DripDropz made it so that the only tokens you could claim was SundaeSwap tokens to facilitate getting the tokens out there as quickly as possible. But as of March 3rd, DripDropz is now back to normal, where all tokens are available on there. So if you'd like, you can go there now and get the normal tokens you would get from DripDropz and get your SundaeSwap tokens as well. So let's take a look at how. You're going to want to come to your wallet and use the same wallet, obviously, that you used to delegate to the ISO. Come and grab one of your receive addresses in the receive section. Come over to DripDropz.io, and then here in this field, you can either enter that address that you copied, or if you have an ADA handle, you can enter that as well. So we're going to do Woodland here, say check your drops. We didn't delegate to the initial ISO, so you're not going to see SundaeSwap on here for us. But for you all, if you delegated, you're going to see Sundae as one of the options here in your list. So you'll just select all the tokens you want, including your Sundae tokens, come to the bottom and claim your drops, and you're good to go the way that you normally do on DripDropz. And right around the same time where everybody was talking about how to claim the SundaeSwap rewards, Maladex put out an article reminding everyone that their ISPO is coming to a close, and let's not forget that where you delegate next matters. So let's take a look here because it's a really great write-up on both the timeline of the ending of their ISO and additionally some things to consider on where you move your stake next after all these ISOs wrap up. So the Maladex ISO is wrapping up after Epic 327, which means that after March 22nd at the start of Epic 328, MAL tokens will no longer be allocated for delegating to any of their pools. So at this point, you're getting no additional incentive for delegating to a MAL pool versus any other pools. So if we look at, well, what's going to happen to the actual MAL pools themselves, the original one with the ticker MAL will remain open, and from Epic 328 moving forward will operate as a 0% pool. You'll still get your regular ADA like as if you were delegating to anywhere else, but no more MAL tokens or anything of that nature. And then all of the remaining Maladex pools, MAL2 and all the other ones, are eventually going to be spun down. So for those of you that have been delegating, the obvious question is how and when do you get your MAL tokens? These tokens will either be available through a smart contract or airdropped to the wallets that were associated with the staking addresses that delegated to these MAL pools, and I'm sure they're going to come out with more information in the future, but for now just know that they're going to have some kind of a special faucet that you can come to, or it'll be sent straight to those wallets, and we'll let you know as more information comes out. But with this wrapping up, the question becomes then, all right, well then where do we take our stake next, and what are some things to consider? They go into an overview of staking and some of the important parameters that work on the network. They actually have the full equation here of how saturation works and how rewards are paid out. Really good detail if you want to dig into it. But they bring up some really good points here that we wanted to share with everyone. There have been a lot of conversations about single pools versus multi-pools and what does it do for centralization and what does it matter if you do one or the other. And it's actually kind of cool to see the conversation coming from the Maladex people, because arguably when they kicked off their ISPO and it was all their own pools that were being run to get the Maladex tokens, they were one of the initial ones that kind of centralized people to these funnels and got them away from these pools. So it's interesting for them now in retrospect to look back and say, okay, we're going to spin these down, we're going to have one pool left, and now let's take a look at what it really means to run multiple pools on the network and what some of the implications can be. So anyway, so they say here, bear in mind that saturating even one stake pool takes a lot of ADA, but every time a single entity opens multiple pools, the potential for network centralization increases. Think of it this way. One entity or operator controlling more ADA than the 67.2 million stake cap means there's less ADA available to fund single stake pool operators, which obviously increases the barrier to entry, so we have less single pool operators, less stake pool operators in general, and less decentralization. Less decentralization and therefore higher centralization is a higher operational risk to the network, because if a multi-stake pool operator makes a mistake or is a target of an attack, it usually applies to all of their pools, magnifying the potential damage. Like, I think it's important for us to stop here and say, because this conversation has become pretty polarizing in the past, There's nothing inherently evil about a multi-pool operator. As a matter of fact, some of the folks that today are running multiple pools are some of the same people that have been doing a lot of really great work to sort of like lift the tide, so to speak, for all boats in the Cardano ecosystem, and have been building out really great tools, adding infrastructure, and the kind of stuff that we've all been enjoying across the ecosystem. So it's not as an inherent problem with running multiple pools or with the people that are running those pools. But I think that it is important for us to keep in mind, just purely from the standpoint of decentralization, what are some of the implications that could potentially happen if you've got one operator with multiple pools. There's a very nuanced conversation and there's a lot more that goes into it, but at the very least they bring up some good points for us to keep in mind and think through. At the end of the day, you might settle on saying, you know what, that's all fine, but I really like the multi-pool operators that I support, and that's totally cool, and that's up to everyone to make their own decision, but at least some things for us to be educated on and think through. Some good points they bring up here. Any stake pool that has more than about 1 million ADA in its delegation should be able, on average, to make about 1 block every epoch. This is probably closer to maybe like 2 or 3 million, but I think what they're getting at is that, like, if you have a block, you skip a few, you have another block, that the rewards that these small pools get, the spikes that they get, kind of average out over the long run. And this is true. There's a nature of sort of lumpy versus consistent returns. As long as the variable fee is less than 5% and the fixed fee is close to 340 ADA, it would represent a sound investment, because in the long run, even the largest pools or the smallest pools, they all converge to that same range of 4 to 6% return on stake. But the thing is that with the smaller pools, someone needs to take that first step and that leap of faith to get these pools up to that 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 million mark. So with all of that in mind, they present a list here of pools to consider, different alliances, lists of single pool operators. We recommend that you check out the list. There's some great pools that are listed on here. And additionally, if you want some other things to keep in mind when selecting the right stake pool for you, check out our video on how you can use Pool Tool to narrow it down and find the right pool that matches your needs. And don't forget that using CC Vault, you can delegate to multiple stake pools, all from the same wallet. So you can delegate to like a really great multi-pool operator, and you can also delegate some to a small single pool operator that's just getting up and running. Or you can delegate to multiple stake pools based on the different projects or initiatives they're working on. Don't forget that for you as a delegator, the best way you can support any stake pool, no matter the size, is by delegating to their stake pool and using your delegation as like a vote of confidence that you're excited and you want to back that project. Let us know down below who some of your favorite stake pools are, and if nothing else, we'll see you next week.